Hey ladies, here's a clip from our online community of women Bible teachers. Hope you enjoy. Why did God write the Bible? Why did God write the Bible? So we're going to have a kind of a big answer and then a more practical answer. So the principal purpose of why God wrote the Bible, we're going to see this through implication here in Isaiah 43. God says, "Bring my sons from afar, my daughters from the end of the earth, everyone who is called by my name, whom I created for my glory, whom I formed and made." So right there, we already see that God created mankind. He created his people for one principal purpose, for his own glory. So we see that God created mankind for his glory. So clearly, by implication, why is God speaking to mankind? Well, ultimately, it must be for his own glory. So we see principally, God speaks to mankind because he wants to be glorified through mankind. We know that because that's the entire reason he created mankind. Secondly, although we know that God speaks to us for his own glory, we see that God also speaks to us for our own good. Romans 8:28, and we know that for those who love God, all things work together for good. Good for who? Good for those who are called according to his purpose. So God is literally wielding all of reality together for the good of his people. So we know that God does everything for his glory and God does everything for our good. So ultimately, when we think, why did God write the Bible? It's for his glory and it's for our good. Okay, but those are answers you could say to everything. Why does God do anything? Well, ultimately, God does everything for his glory and for our good. So let's get a more practical or a real functional answer here. What I'm going to say, I'm going to argue from scripture, is that the functional reason why God wrote the Bible is to transform us into the image of Christ. Is to transform us into the image of Christ. I think that's what we do that ultimately glorifies him the most, is when we image him. And I think that's ultimately what we do that is best for ourselves. That's the thing we can do for our own good, is to image God. That's what we were created to do. I'm pulling that from several places in scripture. I'll read you my kind of top 3 arguments. Genesis 1:27. So God created man in his own image. This is literally where the Bible starts us off at, like, what is a human and why is a human? Ultimately, we are made in his image to reflect him. That brings him glory. That's what we were created to do. So it makes sense that he would give us his word in order to help fulfill our purpose and his purpose for us. Romans 8:29, this is so important. For those whom he foreknew, he predestined. Now, what did God predestine his people to do? What's our destiny? What's the big thing that God has created you to do? To be conformed to the image of his son. That is your purpose. That is your destiny, is to be conformed to the image of his son, to be like Jesus, to be like God in the ways that people are designed to be like God, to be good, to be honest, to be just, to be holy like God is holy. Also, we see a more functional verse here. 2 Corinthians 3:18 says, "And we all, beholding the glory of the Lord, are being transformed into the same image from one degree of glory to another." So we see this. We're beholding God, right? We're looking at him. We're beholding him. This is metaphorically, obviously. A primary way that we behold him is through his word. And that is the means by which we are transformed into the image of Son. So I want us to think for the next year, when we ask, what is the purpose of Scripture? What's the functional purpose of Scripture? Like, why do I read this book? It's because as I read this book, God is going to miraculously transform me into the image of his son. That's my destiny. That's my purpose. That's what glorifies him. And that's what is best for me, to be like Jesus. That's why God wrote the Bible. It is, if not the primary means through which we become like Jesus. To learn more about Women Teach the Word, you can go to womenteachtheword.com and you can say hi to my cat, Fancy. It's actually my roommate's cat, but